This is the beginning of our journey. I have divided this beginning into 2 parts. We will start with the first part, did you take everything? And continue it in the second part, should we play with the sand for a while? So let's go and start the first part of our journey. We all know that when it comes to taking a trip, the first thing that comes to mind is packing for the trip. We gotta prepare the supplies for the trip. We need a series of tools in our journey to get to know first and prepare afterward. So let's see which tools we need through this journey and where we should get them. Before anything, we need to download some tools. I'm saying some tools here. This means we need a series of tools, not just one, for our work. In this section, we discuss these tools, why we should have them, and where we should download them. Then, I'll download them from the primary and original resources. Here, we are going to learn about SSAS. You probably think it's software you gotta download and install on your system. But I should tell you that SSAS is a service that installs on 2 software. Now, what are that 2 software? One is the SQL Server, and the other is Visual Studio. You probably ask why we should install this service on 2 software. To answer this question, we should specify the goal of SQL Server analysis services in the first place. Look, friends, we have a series of data we're gonna conduct some analysis on. We have the data on one side, they're on one side, and we're gonna analyze them. In fact, the core of our work is here, where we start building the model. So we need a database management system on one side to manage the data for us, for instance, so we can read and store data and run queries on them, and this place is called the SQL Server. On the other hand, we need a model to do the modeling and analysis, called the Visual Studio. So far, we understood that we need the 2 software of SQL Server and Visual Studio for our work. Now the next question is, can these 2 tools do the job for us independently? To answer that, I gotta say that these 2 environments we talked about are not made just for the works related to SSAS. They do other jobs too, and we must install the SSAS services on them if we want to carry out analysis services tasks in them. For instance, you can create mobile, Windows, web, and other applications using Visual Studio. Now, if you want to have the SSAS analysis as well, you gotta install the SSAS service on it. The same goes for the SQL Server. So now you understand why we need these 2 environments and why we call the SSAS service. So to start the work, we gotta go and download the latest versions of these 2 software, install them on our system, and activate and install the analysis service on the software while we're installing it. Don't worry if you have this 2 software on your system, but have not installed SQL Server analysis services. We will talk about this section too later. Now, let's answer another question before we go and download the tools. Do I just need these 2 tools? The answer is yes, but at the heart of these 2 tools, you need to install other tools as well, tools that are the subsets of these tools. I have brought the list of all the tools here, which we will download one by one, and I'll tell you about their installation process in the installation section. You see the list of all the tools here. 1. SQL Server. 2. SQL Server Management Studio, SSMS. SSMS is a tool we install on the SQL Server. We'll talk about its application and why we should have it when it's the right time. 3. SQL Server Analysis Services, SSAS. It is the leading service for our work which we must install and activate while installing the SQL Server. 4. Visual Studio. And 5. Visual Studio Extension. There are a series of extensions in Visual Studio which you must download and install through the Visual Studio after you install it. The SSAS extension is one of these extensions we install and activate after we install the Visual Studio. So these were all the tools we needed for our work. And you saw that the central part of the work includes the two tools of SQL Server and Visual Studio, at the heart of which the other three tools lay.